Begin by clicking the Add New button found on the toolbar. If the taxpayer does not have a Social Security number and would like to apply for an ITIN, click the W7 button. Otherwise, type the taxpayer's SSN in the required fields and then click OK. The tax return will open and display the client data worksheet. On the top left, notice that the Program tabs remain on screen. If need be, you can access the Business Return Program or our website while the tax return is open. Below that, we still have access to certain menu items, such as Database and Setup. New menu items have appeared to assist with the preparation of the tax return. In the Return menu, click Tax Estimator to quickly create an estimate of the tax refund. Delete Return will delete the tax return you currently have opened. If the office has recently made changes to the tax preparation fees, select the Reload Billing option. The Print menu allows you to print the current form displayed on screen, the final tax return, or bank documents if the taxpayer has opted to receive their tax refund using a bank product. The black information bar now displays the taxpayer's name, their SSN, and the date in which the tax return was created. To the left is the Attached Forms pane that displays all the general forms used to complete the tax return, all the federal tax forms that are currently attached to the return, with a running tally of the taxpayer's estimated refund. Any state tax forms that are added to the tax return will display below the federal forms here. Lastly, the bottom of the program will display line-by-line help for any field found in the tax return. Simply click the field and additional information will display to help you complete the form. In addition to line-by-line help, certain fields found within the tax return will also enable the Choices, Worksheets, and Form Links buttons. Choices displays a list of options appropriate for the field you're on. You can use the Choices button for help with the Occupations field, taxpayer bank and routing numbers, employer identification numbers, and others. Worksheets provides access to an overflow worksheet associated with the field. And finally, Form Links allows you to jump to the form associated or required for that field. For example, if you click the Choices button for line 7 of the 1040, the program will display a W-2. Begin by typing the taxpayer, spouse, and dependent information on the client data worksheet. If you plan on being able to send a text message to this taxpayer, be sure to enter the taxpayer's cell phone number, selecting the text message checkbox, and entering the taxpayer's cell phone carrier. Once you capture that information, you can click the Send Text button to send the taxpayer a text message regarding their tax return. Remember, use the bottom section of the program for line-by-line help. To add forms to the tax return, click the Add Forms button found on the toolbar. The Federal tab will display all the federal forms that you can add to the return. Use your mouse to scroll through this list, or use your keyboard to jump to a specific form. Double-click the form to add it to the tax return. If you don't know the exact form number of the form you want to add, click the Index tab to browse for tax forms by form description. You can also add state forms by clicking the State tab. Select the desired state using the drop-down box near the left, and then double-click the desired form to add it to the tax return. The Depreciation tab displays any forms that allow for asset depreciation. Once you add the appropriate form to the tax return, you can add assets to that form by double-clicking it from here. Click the New Asset button and enter a description for the asset, the date the asset was placed in service, and select the asset class code. Now, enter the original cost of the asset here. Once finished, click Close. The depreciation amount for that asset will automatically be calculated in the form. Vehicle depreciation can be calculated using the same method, or can be entered directly on the Schedule C for standard mileage depreciation. You can select how the taxpayer is going to receive their tax refund on Form 8879. At the top of the 8879, select the desired refund type. If the taxpayer wishes to use a bank product for their tax refund, be sure to select Option 5, RT Bank. Once RT Bank is selected, click Refresh on the toolbar. The Bank app will display on the attached Forms pane. Complete the Bank app with the required information. Once you've added and completed all the required forms for the tax return, click the Verify button on the toolbar to verify the tax return for errors. If any errors are present, they will display on screen. You can double-click an error to jump to the form and field that contains the error. Once you clear all errors, you'll be able to print and queue the tax return for transmission. Click the Print button found on the toolbar to print the tax return. Note that you can use the Sign Doc button on the print window to capture the taxpayer and spouse's signature with a supported electronic signature pad. Remote Sign will send a link to the taxpayer or spouse's cell phone. The taxpayer or spouse can then use that link to sign electronically using their smartphone. You can also click the Email button below to email a copy of the tax return to the email address that you captured on the client data worksheet. Transmitting a tax return is a two-step process. First, click the Queue button found on the toolbar and select the tax return packages you'd like to mark or queue for transmission. Once you click Queue, the tax return will close and will be placed in the transmission queue. Once you're ready to transmit queued tax returns, select the Transmit button on the toolbar. You can review which tax returns are queued by clicking the Filter button found near the bottom left of the Transmit window. To transmit queued tax returns, simply click the Transmit button near the bottom right.